I knew someone that wanted to open a brick and mortar store. And to keep the story vague, so not to point fingers, I'm going to say that she wanted to sell widgets. And this widget was a low dollar, item, which would mean, a low dollar profit margin, or at least, you would have to sell a ton of these widgets to generate enough money to make it sustainable. And she went on to tell me that she already signed a lease for this big building at a strip mall. And, in my mind, I'm like, man, how many of these widgets do you have to sell just to cover rent? I'm not familiar with that widget she was selling, but I'm familiar with real estate and rents in the area. And I'm like, man, that's a big rent. You're going to have to sell a lot of these little widgets to cover it. And then, the curiosity got the best of me. And I just asked, so how many of these widgets do you have to sell just to make your rent payment? And her answer, well, I haven't figured that out yet. Well, as you know, this venture didn't work out. And, it could have saved her a lot of money and heartache if she just calculated, the cost long before signing a lease agreement. Because, this building obviously she wouldn't be able to make the payments on it. I'm Brian Hill. I've owned multiple businesses for the past 20 years, and this chapter is about trying new paths, exploring new opportunities, but doing your research first. This is chapter 33, Take the Backcountry Roads. If a backcountry road is found, the curiosity gets the best of me, and, I like to go down and see where it goes. You can usually can't go wrong on a backcountry road because worst case, you get to enjoy the scenery. There's fewer people, more scenery. It's better that way. Your business journey, there'll be times that you might pull off the popular roads, take the backcountry roads to see if there's a better way to get to your desired destination. Trying new things is part of your business development process. If you can find a backcountry road, it might mean less competition and a possible business advantage. And you might be the first to market with the idea. This would allow your help establish your brand, build loyalty, and with less competition, it allow you to gain market share in your industry and maybe even gain media attention as a first mover. But not all of your ideas will be winners. But you need to at least think it out and maybe see if it's $1 million idea. I've personally have had a lot of bad ideas that I was sure was going to be winners. But, out of all these failures, you at least gain something. And, you'll find some successful back roads that will even lead you toward your goals. But, do this little bit of research before dumping a ton of money into it. Do your research and market analysis. That widget store owner, she signed the lease before doing that. Before calculating, how many items of this do I need to sell? Is it even possible in this neighborhood? And, that's backwards. If you think you've identified an opportunity that has potential for growth, you've analyzed the market, and you see that it might be sustainable, develop a business plan for it. Begin to pitch it to potential investors, partners, and customers. If you find individuals who express interest, begin negotiating terms and, try to close the deal. If things are still looking positive for this venture, then it might be time to create a plan, define some goals, set some realistic timelines, identify who needs to be on this team, and then develop roles and responsibilities for these team members. And then, monitor the business development process to see if it stays on track, And, within all this, you create systems, and you always measure results and adjust as needed. And, make sure these changes are having the desired effect that you're wanting. So use all past data and, any information you can to help you strategize. Just remember that your business journey is chosen by you. You selected this industry, the location, the business model, or even the backcountry roads or new paths that you're trying out. So take responsibility, from each win and loss, learn from it, and press on with your business development process. I still think about that widget store owner. She was excited about her new idea. She found a great location, signed the lease, but she didn't calculate, how many widgets she needed to sell, just to cover her rent. That's not taking a backcountry road. That's kind of driving blindfolded. Backcountry roads, they're great. It could lead you with, let's say, less competition, more scenery, potential for business advantage as being a first mover. But you still need to know where you're going. So here's what I learned about taking the backcountry roads. Here in business, you got to do your research. And you do this before dumping money into it, or at least a lot of money. Analyze if your clientele, is actually going to buy what you're selling. Second, not all your ideas will be winners. And that's okay. You need to try. That's part of your growth cycle. But you need to do your research first. And then if it looks like it might be a winner, move forward with it. After you've analyzed the market, develop your business plan, pitch to investors, create an execution plan, and then always monitor results and adjust as needed. So don't skip those steps. Finally, take responsibility for your chosen path. You selected this industry, this location, this business model, or even this backcountry road that you're going down. Own the successes, own the failures, but learn from both. I love the backcountry roads, less people, more scenery, and the chance to discover something new. But always calculate the cost before investing a lot of time and money. So try new things, explore new opportunities, be a first mover in your market. Just do your research first. This is chapter 33 from my book, Business is a Journey, Not a Destination. And this journey is your life. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'll be releasing the remaining chapters right here. In the next chapter, we'll be talking about taking advantages of your seasons of life. So be sure to take those backcountry roads and enjoy your business journey. Thanks for watching.